I'm Digibro, and this is the Rant Hole, where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons want me to. You could be one too if you wanted to. This is the last rant of this fucking series. I've been sweltering in this goddamn hole all fucking day. The last guy is Chilla Zero, who has always wanted to hear my thoughts on Umineko, especially what I liked the most about it. I think the adaptation was pretty fun, although it can't really even call itself a mystery like the original series was. Cheers. Yeah, Umineko no Naku Koro ni, the sort of spiritual sequel to Higurashi no Naku Koro ni, which I was also a big fan of. A great horror mystery show full of cute girls that I adore. Umineko is just like, it's the next story from the same author that uses a lot of the same traits. I don't think it ever got as popular as Higurashi. It's more mystery focused than that show is, more of a like traditional mystery. And the games are crazy. It's this long series of long visual novels that have, like, they're more mechanically complex than a typical visual novel, I guess, in that there's a whole system of trying to, solve the mystery yourself using these different sort of, I don't even know how to describe it. I haven't actually played the games myself beyond a couple minutes of the first one because the artwork was so terrible that I just couldn't handle it. And frankly, from what I've heard, the games are very unnecessarily long-winded. There's just tons and tons of extra rambling. I have a friend who, who read all of them after watching the anime and concluded that had the anime told the entire story, it would be a better version just because of how much it condenses things and cuts unnecessary stuff. Now, a lot of people complain that the anime cuts too much necessary stuff, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's also true. I haven't read the manga, which I've also heard is like a good adaptation that kind of captures the best of both worlds, but and I've been curious to read it, but I'm just, again, I don't really care for the artwork that much of the manga, but I'd be willing to put up with it. Generally, I can't stand visual novels because they're so long-winded, because there tends to be so much unnecessary extra writing. There's a desperate need of editors in the visual novel world. But the anime, it's just a ton of fun. I mean, it has parts where it gets kind of slow. It has parts where the production is just, very Dean, and that can be difficult to deal with. And I really think that Studio Dean anime tend to get way more of a bad rap than they deserve for having kind of shitty animation, because in general, Dean will adapt stuff that just wouldn't get made. Like, they will make second seasons of shows that ordinarily wouldn't. They will adapt things that ordinarily wouldn't. And some people will say, well, I'd rather it just not get adapted. But personally, I think that they do it. I think they do a serviceable job. I think that even with the goofy moments in some of their shows, they tend to at least provide something that is enjoyable, and that is watchable. And I had a lot of fun watching Umineko because I think that, jarring elements aside, or whatever they cut out aside, the original story has enough intrigue in it that when you make it an anime, there's naturally going to be some intrigue in it, regardless of what might be lost from the source, as long as it's somewhat competent, and it is. I remember, it's been a long time since I watched the show, so I'm not like super, it's not at the forefront of my mind. I think it's been about 8 years. I watched it because a bunch of my friends had. My friend Marcus watched it, was completely in love with it. He made my brother Victor watch it. I watched it. I had a good time. I named my band after the show, Trial of the Golden Witch, as a reference to, I think one of the games or one of the stories in the game is the Trial of the Golden Witch, because the Golden Witch is Beatrice, the sort of main, I guess, antagonist of the series. I like that there are so many big, colorful personalities. It's a mystery show, but it draws from, I want to say, probably something like Phoenix Wright. Like, it has that type of, like, really eccentric characters, and everyone's kind of, like, well-dressed. There's this element of, it's not a high school anime. Even if some of the characters are high schoolers, like, it takes place on a weird island with, like, a rich family, battling over, I don't know, inheritance or something. I don't even fucking remember what the plot of the show is. But, like, it's also really trippy, because whereas Higurashi was about, like, this summer that keeps repeating itself, and You know, more of it is like just seeing each story almost individually. Like the stories almost aren't connected until you find out how they are connected. But like in the case of Umineko, because there is someone actively like using powers to make this repetition happen, then it's like the different cycles can have effects on each other, and like you can learn things that affect your interpretation of other stuff. It gets really trippy with like the magic, the reality bending. I mean, some of the characters in the Umineko universe are considered to be among the most powerful anime characters in existence. Like, if you look at those anime power charts where like Demon Bane is at the top, Lambda Delta is somewhere around there, which is why I made this reference in my 10th Dimensional Daimao song, bastard love child of Demon Bane and Lambda Delta wrapped up in the pelt of Arceus, and I exist across 10 dimensions with cruel intentions, blowing up your planets like you do my Twitter mentions. Anyways, yeah, it's an enjoyable show with a cast of great characters, some really hilarious, it's one of those shows that is not afraid to be deliberately funny and like almost so bad it's good at times, where like sometimes the jank animation is used in moments when it would be funny for there to be jank animation there. It's like, not to say that I think they went out of their way to make it janky, but that like there is a charm in that. There is a charm in how goofy it can get, and how kind of corny it can be, and how over the top it can be. The fucking ending theme, which is legendary. I did a karaoke performance of that at Otakon once. Great fun. So yeah, I guess my overall review is, it's a fun show that I barely remember. That's it for this bulk of rants. Thanks to everybody who patroned. Patron yourself if you want to have a rant next month. Bye.